Now, the numbers of migrants trying to reach European shores has increased dramatically over the past year. While some 60,000 made unauthorised crossings back in 2013, in the period January to September 2014, the numbers were up at 165,000 in that first 9 months. That's the latest period for which we have statistics available to us. So where are they coming from? Well, wars and conflict across the Middle East have been a huge contributing factor. Many migrants from Syria, Iraq and Libya here to the left-hand side of our map at the moment have contributed and tried to make that journey. But there are others too. We've widened the scope from the east, Pakistan, Afghanistan, from Somalia, on the eastern coast of Africa and right across the other side of Africa in Senegal and Gambia. They're all known to send people to try and find a new life in European countries. Well, the majority of migrants seem to head for Italy. This map shows the origins of those travelling in 2014. The larger the arrow, the greater the flow of people. And this is the route that people are taking to get into Europe. It's certainly not a straight line. Many migrants from sub-Saharan countries actually go into northeast Africa, through Libya or Tunisia. And the flow is often blamed on people trafficking business, a business which is calculated to be worth at least £4 billion a year. It's a trade that very often has fatal consequences. According to the UN Refugee Agency, more than 2,200 lives were lost in the Mediterranean Sea between July and September, that short window last year. And you may remember in October 2013, nearly 500 people died here off the Italian island of Lampedusa. The fishing boat they were travelling in from Libya capsized. But a year on, in October last year, Italy brought an end to its Mare Nostrum operation. It was responsible for the search and rescue of migrants around the troubled coastline, and they clocked up the saving of some 170,000 lives each year. But it was costing the Italians nearly £8 million every month. Since then, the EU's border agency, called Frontex here, has taken over responsibility, but the critics say it has far more limited resources. Well, Ian Woods is with me to tell us the latest on this rescue that's going on today. And very similar, isn't it? It's almost déjà vu. We had one yesterday and a very similar case today.
Which suggests that this is not an accident, this is not coincidence, this is a new deliberate policy by the people traffickers not to use small boats anymore, but to pack as many people as they can on rusty old freighters that they can presumably pick up at a reasonably cheap price, put a lot of people on board and then basically set it sailing towards Italy. We've got a picture now of the ship which is under tow from the Icelandic vessel. The fact that Coast Guard were able to board this is more by luck than judgment, really, because the freighter was travelling at full speed, and because of the weather conditions and because of the speed of the ship, it wasn't able to be in a position where they could drop Coast Guard on board. It was only because it ran out of fuel, because the people traffickers hadn't even properly put enough fuel inside to reach the Italian coastline, that it slowed down, was bobbing around in the ocean. The migrants themselves were able to get on the ship's radio, some of them, and make contact and say, help us out here. And now, of course, they are under tow. But the people on board there, they're said to be in a reasonably good condition, though very distressed. There are pregnant women on board. There are also 60 children amongst these 450 people. A
grim prospect, though, isn't it? 450 people on a boat that is used to herding cattle around, apparently.
But probably better than some of the smaller fishing boats, and probably more seaworthy in some ways than some of the boats that haven't made it. Remember, Frontex, who've taken over this operation from the Italian Coast Guard, they are not patrolling the whole of the Mediterranean. They are not looking for ships which may sink just off the coast of North Africa shortly after leaving some of the ports there. Their job is effectively to guard the European mainland. So they are only operating in relatively close waters to the mainland. There could be many, many boats out there that we simply don't even know about because they're too small to be picked up on radar, and they don't get far enough towards Europe to be picked up by the European authorities.
Okay.